Hello, once again. This time I'm going to be sharing a simplified conducting Bible study. So let me share my screen. All right. So this is in line with this year's outreach. That's the One Voice 27. And then perhaps you're listening right now or studying with me. You're planning to give Bible study or to conduct Bible study for a group. So, with what I usually do, we will deal with two aspects. That's what to do and then what not to do. So, first is begin with a statement of faith. For instance, you're about to discuss the doctrine of the Sabbath or the Shabbat. So, what you're going to say is, I believe that the seventh day Sabbath is in the Bible or it's biblical. Okay, so begin with that. So your student knows what to expect, and the flow of thought should be consistent with that statement of faith. Another thing that I'd like to emphasize is to use only 3 to 5 texts or passages in an hour session. What do I mean by that? Usually, we use a lot of text, around perhaps 8 to 10 or more. And those texts were sometimes unfamiliar. How can you do that with just using 3 texts, even minimum? I'm going to give you an example. Since you're uh, having an hour session, so ideally, you do the talking for 30 minutes. Of course, it's not straight because it should be a dialogue, not a monologue. So let your student or students say their piece, ask questions, rebut, challenge your thoughts. That's fine. It's part of the of a healthy Bible study. So let's go back to the Shabbat. Of course, you're gonna refer to Genesis 2:1 to 3 after the creation narrative, and you're gonna emphasize that the Creator God Himself instituted the Sabbath by resting it and making it, uh, sanctifying it, hallowing it, making it distinct from other days. And you will also emphasize that only the Shabbat during that time, according to scholars, had a name. So you're going to begin with the first day, second day, third day, up to sixth day. But the seventh day has a name. That's the Shabbat. And I think that's implied in the Bible. So that's the first text, and you're going to deal with its context, and perhaps you're going to do textual study, go to the original language, may that be in Aramaic or Hebrew, and you can use the olive tree, which I mentioned in my previous uploads, especially in doing hermeneutics. So just click on the link below and you can see the reference there. And so after emphasizing the background of the Shabbat, even before the Ten Commandments, even before the Mosaic Law, so to speak, then you might as well refer to Exodus 20, isn't it? 8 to 13 or onwards, that it talks about the seventh day Sabbath. Now it has become Jewish, and there's no contention about it. But just let the discussion flow. And what could be next is go to the New Testament. So this is your third text, Mark 2:27 and 28. Jesus is the Lord of the Shabbat. In other words, you can all pull this text together and then make a cohesive argument that We believe as Christians that Jesus Christ is the greater God. Uh, you can cite that in Hebrews and elsewhere in Pauline epistles. Therefore, the establisher of the Shabbat is the Lord of the Sabbath, and that's Jesus Christ. And then you're gonna emphasize that the Sabbath is not a burden per se. It's meant to benefit us, humanity, and not otherwise. And then the punchline here is that the Shabbat is actually not a day. It's more than a day. It's more than a commitment. It's more than a date with God. But the Shabbat represents someone, and that someone is the Lord of the Sabbath. And then you're gonna refer your student, perhaps this will be your nailing passage, and that's in Matthew 11:28 to 30, that Jesus is the rest, all who are burdened. And that's the literal meaning of the Shabbat, isn't it? To cease, to stop from doing your routine for 6 days and come to Him and devote the time to Him and engage with Him, be refreshed, and just enjoy that fellowship with the Creator God or Jesus Christ. And that leads us to the final point here, being Christocentric, isn't it? So you begin with Jesus Christ as the founder of the Shabbat. Of course, you will emphasize that he did rest not because he was tired, but to set an example, and that rest actually pertains to us. Finally, resting in God, resting in our works, and above all, resting in our work to be safe, because Jesus is finally our rest. Rest in Him, not just with physical work, but with spiritual work vis-a-vis salvation. Okay, what not to do? Equally important. Discuss texts at random. Okay, so perhaps you're on your fourth or fifth text, and then uh, suddenly it comes to mind of another text. Uh, No, please avoid that. Whatever you think at random, because it will just drag on the discussion. Remember, ideally, another half will be for your student, for insight, question, or even, like I said, challenging your thoughts or how you unpack these passages. Another thing to avoid is to ask leading questions. Why? We are tempted as facilitators or conductors of this Bible study, for instance, the Shabbat, to be biased with our presentation and, for instance, leading questions. So it's undeniable that the seventh day is the Sabbath, not Sunday. Well, you can't make those conclusive statements. You can just offer open statements. For instance, what do you think of our study? Do you think it makes sense for us to rest on a Sabbath, especially on Saturday? So give that benefit of a doubt to your student. Don't make them feel like they're under your control, or perhaps you're overpowering already the discussion, and sometimes you might be condescending, which is not good for a healthy Bible study. And finally, rebutting your student's opinion. Don't you ever rebut, because at the end of the day, you want your student to come back and to continue the study with you. No offense whatsoever. You can be straightforward, but then again, respect each other's opinion. For your student to respect your opinion as well. It might come to him or her as an opinion only, but if you build that relationship, consistency, and respect, that person might delve deeper into the topic, even without your leading, or even without your knowledge, because we got lots of information already on the internet and social media. So give that benefit. Like I said, don't corner your student. And in that way, you are being Christocentric. You know, that Jesus' model, that he gives allowance to people, he respects them, meet them where they are at, and above all, to show that genuine concern, or we call that love. Of course, these are all possible by the counsel, the guidance of the Spirit. So hopefully you learn something new, and let's work together for this evangelistic campaign called One Voice 27. Thank you. Shalom.